Let's start with a hard truth. Most people are terrified of the minimum viable product. They treat it like a version 0.1, a buggy, stripped down, embarrassing prototype they only release because they ran out of money or the deadline hit a brick wall. They think an MVP is a product they're slightly ashamed of. But in a true Agile toolset, an MVP isn't a product at all. It is a strategy. It is the most sophisticated way to gain the most expensive thing in business, validated learning. Today, we're going to dismantle the cheap prototype myth. I'm going to show you why your MVP should probably be smaller than you think, and why, if you aren't a little embarrassed by your first release, you've already waited too long. Because the goal isn't to build, the goal is to know. The vocabulary of efficiency. To master the MVP, you have to respect the tension between its two namesakes. Most teams lean too hard into one or the other, and that's where the wheels fall off. Minimum. This isn't about being lazy or cutting corners, it's about being surgical. It is the absolute smallest amount of functionality required to test a specific hypothesis. Not the smallest you can build, but the smallest you need to build to get a signal from the noise. Viable? This is where the ego usually takes over. Viable doesn't mean feature-rich. It means it actually solves a core problem for a real human being. Think of it like a bridge. A minimum bridge might only be 1 lane wide, but it has to be viable enough to support a car. If it's minimum but not viable, it's a pile of wood in the river. If it's viable but not minimum, you've built a 6-lane suspension bridge before you even knew if anyone lived on the other side. You are looking for the sweet spot, the point where the cost of development is eclipsed by the value of the data you get back. The evolution, skateboard to supercar. This brings us to the most famous visual in Agile, the skateboard. The biggest mistake in product development is trying to build a car by starting with a wheel. Think about the logic there. A wheel isn't viable. It doesn't get the user from point A to point B. If you give a customer a wheel, they aren't happy, they're confused. You haven't tested the transportation hypothesis. You've only tested if you can manufacture rubber. In Agile, we start with a skateboard. Is it a car? No. Is it bumpy and slow? Yes. But it solves the movement problem immediately. The moment the user steps on that skateboard, the learning begins. Do they struggle with balance? Don't waste time building an engine, add a handle, and make it a scooter. Do they want to carry groceries? Now it's a bicycle with a basket. You don't guess the final destination of the roadmap. You let the user's friction drive the evolution. You aren't building a vehicle, you're building a solution to a mobility problem. The skateboard is your minimum, the movement is your viable. Precision targeting. But how do you know what to build first? You find the R.A.T, your riskiest assumption test. Founders and developers suffer from a universal bias. We assume our intuition is a fact. We mistake our personal excitement for market demand. You think the world needs your app. But beneath that confidence is a house of cards. You need to find the one card that, if pulled, collapses the whole project. If you're building a hyperlocal app for neighbors to lend each other expensive power tools, your riskiest assumption isn't, can we build a map interface? Or can we integrate a calendar? Your riskiest assumption is, will people actually trust a stranger with their 500-pound table saw? Your MVP shouldn't be a polished app. It should be a manual test to see if that trust exists. Everything else, the like buttons, the profile pictures, the dark mode, is just noise. If you can't prove the core value proposition, the best UI in the world won't save you from a dead product. Test the R.A.T, ignore the rest. The illusion of automation. Now let's talk about the how. You don't always need a back-end database to test an idea. Sometimes you just need a Wizard of Oz. This is one of the most powerful moves in the Agile toolset. The front end looks like a fully automated, high-tech app, but a human is manually doing the work behind the curtain. Look at Zappos. Before it was a billion-dollar empire, it was just a guy named Nick Swinmurn with a camera and a dream. He didn't build a warehouse, he didn't hire a logistics team. He went to a local shoe store, took photos of shoes, and put them on a basic website. When someone ordered, he went back to the store, bought the shoes at retail price, and mailed them himself. He lost money on every sale, but he gained something worth more than gold: validated learning. He proved that people would trust a website with their shoe size. He didn't build a platform, he built a test. That is the definition of minimum effort for maximum insight. The fork in the road: pivot or persevere. Once your MVP is in the wild, the data will present you with a fork in the road. You must be unsentimental here. Persevere. The data confirms your hypothesis. The users are engaging and, most importantly, they are complaining about the minimum nature of the tool because they want more. This is your green light to scale. Pivot. The data shows you were wrong. Maybe they don't want the product, or maybe they want it for a reason you never expected. An MVP that fails isn't a failure, it's a massive win. It's a shield that protects you from building a perfect product that nobody wanted. In the Agile world, we celebrate the pivot because it means we've stopped digging a hole in the wrong place. We didn't lose a year, we lost a week. That's a victory. The M in MVP stands for minimum, but the goal is maximum insight. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like and subscribe. We've got a lot more to cover, and you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching.